I had a few people ask me how I did this, so I thought I'd go into detail on what I did here for the zip line. So the zip line is here, and I'll walk you through how I made it. Drill some holes in the side. Now, harness versus seat, for my kids are older, and I wanted to use it without getting a harness on, so that's why I went with the seat. When we get to like that middle part of the yard, the zip line itself is pretty high up, so you need a rope to carry it back to its location. But here's probably I was fortunate. I had 3 trees that were pretty well laid out, and I'll talk about what I did here. So stepping in a hole, there we go. So I got the cable right there that wraps around the tree hooked up to another cable that goes to there, and then from there on out it's just a chain, and I got the chain cheap at Harbor Freight, and that's why I used it. And it's hooked up to a 10,000 pound pulley or something, like a mega pulley for the cable. You very rarely use it, but that's the way that I set it up. The pulley system there, and I'll explain why here shortly. Over to here where the chain goes around the tree. Now if you look, I got 2x6s, and what I did on the back side of the 2x6s is I took a table saw, and I just made like fish scales, like zigzags, so that it'd grip onto the tree. And then on this side, the side facing us, I channeled out with an auger or a router a channel, like a haphazard channel, so that the chain would fall into the slot there, so you can sort of see it on that one. And then so I'm up there with the ladder, and then I took a bungee cord, and I bungeed those blocks in place first before I put the chain up. And you can still see the bungee there. I literally forgot to take the bungee off, and that's why the bungee's still there. I never took the bungee off. So then the only thing that's holding that up is gravity, and whatever you want to call it, tension, is keeping that in place. I did not nail into the tree, and that has not moved at all. And we've used this for years now, like this. It's probably going on 3 years. So and then over here, all I did is I took some rope and I tied it up to a branch that happened to be above it, just to keep it up a little bit higher. Put one block back there. I was thinking about putting other blocks on that side, and I just didn't get around to it. All right, so the one thing, when you get the cable, I'll talk about the cable in a minute. So this is aircraft cable, and I'll put a link in the video, but it comes down here, and the reason to go off at an angle is when the swing comes down, they'll hit here and then they'll swing out, and you don't want this line to end straight ahead. You want it off to the side, so that when they swing out, they're not going to I had my daughter test it, and she came up and clipped her ear going up and clipped her ear coming down. Thankfully it wasn't removed in the process. So you wanted to go off at an angle, and that's the angle I did. So now I took it down here, and to adjust the tension right here, what turnbuckle, I think these are called. So if I want to tighten this up, I can just take a screwdriver and tighten it up to if it gets slack in the line, or I want it running a little faster. And then here comes a visitor. And then I put this chain, just a El Cheapo chain, in case this ever breaks while someone's coming down. It's not a total loss and you go crashing into the ground. I have this chain set up here as like a backup that will help if this ever breaks while somebody's on it. And then it comes down to another chain, and then here's a better idea how the 2x6 is laid out and cut into the so this way the tree can grow, and it doesn't you're not cutting into the tree and hurting the tree. Now these, we had gypsy moths a few years in a row, and if you don't know what gypsy moths are, they're caterpillars, and they just decimate forests. And they took out a bunch of these trees. This one is the one that I'm worried about the most out of this whole system, because it supports the most weight. So if you were putting it in, you'd have to you know, I don't know how far you'd have to dig down and concrete it and then put a post up in the air. But the whole point of all this was I didn't want it going straight into a tree. Yeah, you can put a brake system in, but then that cuts the run down. And so I lucked out and I had these 2 posts that they can come down through. So now talking about braking system. So the brake is a 2x6, is 2 2x6s bolted together, and I bolted them together, and then I drilled through the center of the 2x6, so the line actually slides on those 2x6s, and I bolted them together and then tied them up, or I put a clamp there, with an eye hook, and then a clamp to these bungee cords. Now the bungee cords all have different lengths, so that it's not just one massive stop. It hits the first one, the second one, the third one, and it slowly goes down. It slows, you know, the rider down rather than just all at the same lengths. It slows them down as it hits. So I won't be able to do it now because there won't be enough energy here. But you get the idea that when the pulley hits that and the turnbuckle slides, it'll get down to about there. It will go all the way and hit here when the rider's actually on it, but you get the idea. That the what do you call it? That goes back. My helper. Yeah, good job helping me. All right, and then at the top of the run up there, it's just the you know, the same setup down here. I have a cable set up. So let me. Do you want to take it for a ride, you retard? I knew you were going to do that. Hey, can you let go for a second? Hey, yo, buddy. All right, so let me take it for a ride. I haven't ridden it this year yet, so there's a chance I might die because that tree is dead. And I'm finding a lot of dog stuff in the yard as I walk through here. So, as you can tell, right now, like I'm at about waist height on this thing, and the seat's pretty high up in the air. Now you're not that high. If you're a light person, you would be, but that's the reason for the rope here. If you're putting it up for your kids, one thing that I learned the hard way is your kids are going to have different friends that have different weights, and some of the heavier kids may want to go. I originally had this thing starting over there, and the kids would go down. My kids are like thin. It wasn't really a big issue. They would get to the end and it wasn't a problem. One of their heavier set friends came over and went down, and I wasn't here, so I couldn't intervene, and I didn't explain to them. I never thought that it would be that big of a deal, but they went down, and they went up to about the 11 o'clock position and then freaked out and let go of everything and slid off and just came crashing down on the ground. So you may want to, I'm gonna put the camera in my pocket so I can get on this thing. All right, camera back. We're still rolling. All right, so cable, or the pulley system there, I'll put a link to the pulley down to this chain that was coated. It's a swing set chain coated down to the little Tikes seat that I drilled or melted, actually, the top portion, so I could put the chain further down. And then I put a ball. I don't know if you can see the ball. I'll show it down. He's apparently helping me out. All right, dude, you ready? You want to do this thing? Hey, can you chase me? All right, so here we go. So you get going pretty freaking fast. Oh, holy shit. And then you go. So all the way to the end I hit and then zip back out. Yeah, so a little bit of adrenaline rush, especially with that tree being as dead as it is up there. All right. And then here's how I have the bottom of that. I just created like that. Put some, whatever they call those, clamp blocks or what, I don't know. And I made a ball out of it, and it works well. And then tied the rope to that. This will fill with water, so put some drill holes there so that it drains the water out. And there you go. Oh, up there, the that's a swivel. Right, it hooks to the pulley is hooked to a swivel so that it will rotate 180 degrees. And yeah, so hopefully this was beneficial. I assume no responsibility for when you kill yourself. You know, use at your own risk, blah blah blah, all that happy disclaimer stuff. Yeah, that tree is shot. Damn gypsy moths.